Hello students, this is Mrs. Shweta Ladha from Ferguson College, Pune, your biology teacher. We had started with chapter 5, Origin and Evolution of Life. In that chapter, we had started with modern synthetic theory of evolution. I had told you that there are three basic concepts to understand modern synthetic theory of evolution. First is genetic variation. Why does genetic variation occur? It occurs because of mutations. It may occur due to recombination of the genes. It may occur due to gene flow, or it may be occurring due to genetic drift, accidental death. Today we are going to proceed and complete and study detail about different types of mutation, how gene mutation occurs on a chromosome, deletion, duplication, aberrations, how they occur, which causes the change in the gene. We will also discuss about two important factors, natural selection, how nature plays a very important role in selecting a species. And finally, we will conclude modern synthetic theory by studying isolation. So let us begin with a PowerPoint presentation. So students, first we will start with chromosomal aberrations. Chromosomal aberrations are chromosomes. We have these chromosomes present in our nucleus. They are having genes. If there are some changes on the genes which results into different types of phenotypes, we call it as chromosomal aberrations. Let us see about it in detail. The structural or morphological changes in chromosomes. So we are talking about structural changes in the chromosomes, morphological changes in the chromosomes of the genes. It is termed as chromosomal aberrations. It occurs due to first deletion, which is also called as loss of gene from chromosomes, or duplication, which is also called as genes are repeated or doubled in number on that chromosome. Duplication, doubling of the gene. It may occur due to inversion. A particular segment of the chromosome is broken first and then it is reattached to the same chromosomes in an inverted position, ulta position, opposite position due to 180-degree twist. I'll show it with the help of diagram also. Then we will discuss about translocation, transfer of a part of a chromosome to a non-homologous chromosome. It is called as translocation. Transfer of gene to a different location. It is translocation. So deletion, duplication, inversion, translocation. Types of chromosomal mutation: deletion, loss of part of chromosome; duplication, extra copy made of part of chromosome; inversion, 180-degree reverse direction of a part of chromosome, it is attached, the gene is attached; and translocation, part of one attaches to another chromosome. Let us see with the help of diagram. First diagram you can see, listen carefully. First we'll discuss only about deletion. In this chromosome, what are the genes? A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, these are linearly arranged genes. Suppose one of the gene gets deleted, removed. Mutation may occur due to any reasons. And you can see here, B is not at all present. Now this newly formed chromosome after deletion is A, C, D, E, F. B got deleted. Genes are deleted. And what will happen to the phenotype? Phenotype will change. If phenotype change, what happens? It becomes mutated, isn't it? It is a different species, different organism. The second is duplication. Look at this chromosome again. Look at the gene A, B, C, D, E, F. Look at what is happening after duplication. This B is getting doubled. It is getting duplicated accidentally. Now, instead of A, B, C, it is becoming A, B, B, C, and D, E, F. One gene is extra added. This gene responsible for coding amino acid will be added extra. Proteins will be extra. Phenotype will change. So it leads to mutation. Let us see what is inversion. This was a linear chromosome, but because of some agent, some chemical, radiation, or some reason, it got folded, it got twisted, it broke. And what happened? Look here, it took a turn of 180 degree. and this B, it got attached here, BC, it got attached here, and DE, it got attached here. So see, DE, if I look at the linear one, DE was here, it broke, BC broke, BC got inverted by 180 degree, and CB, it became CB. DE also broke, it got inverted, it became ED, and now the entire gene sequence changed because of 180 degree turn. Instead of ABC, DEF, it is becoming AED, CBF. Imagine so much change in the sequence of the gene. A new type of amino acid protein will be formed and a total different phenotype will be occurring. So it is inversion. Next is translocation. Translocation, let us see what happens here. This was ABCDEF, homologous chromosome, another chromosome, GHIJKL. Now what happened? Translocated, the change in the position occurs. ABCDEF, this DEF got detached from here, this JKL got detached from here, JL attached to the first chromosome and DF attached to the second chromosome. Look at the sequence. ABC, what it should be DEF, but what it is coming? JKL. GH, I, after I it should be JKL, but the part of the first chromosome, sister chromosome, it attached to this part, it became DEF. So there is a exchange of gene between homologous chromosomes. Translocation is occurring. Of course, recombination, or we can say translocation, occurs, which causes the change in the phenotype. So these are the 4 reasons why, or types of mutation: deletion of genes, duplication of genes, inversion of genes, and translocation of genes. I hope this is clear. So genetic mutation is causing change in the gene pool, which results in a new type of species. We studied about gene pool, we studied about Mendelian population, we studied about how genetic drift, accidental death, causes change in the gene pool. We studied how gene flow, migration, immigration, emigration affects the gene population. And now we studied how chromosome mutation. Before this, we also discussed about genetic recombination, and now finally genetic mutation. Let us start with the second important part after genetic variation. Second important concept of modern synthetic theory is natural selection. Nature is playing a very important role in selecting a species. According to Darwin, natural selection is the main driving force behind evolution. This holds that genetic variation rise within the population. The fittest will be at the selective advantage and will be more likely to produce offsprings than the rest. The one which is fit, the one which is able to adjust, adapt, it has a selective advantage. Nature will select it and it is likely to be able to produce more offsprings as compared to the other ones. As the fit continues to enjoy greater survival and reproductivity, new species will eventually evolve. So you can also say survival of the fittest, and nature is selecting who is fit. Alternatively, natural selection is a process by which better adapted organisms grow and produce more number of organisms in a population. One which adjusts, adapts, becomes fit and will survive, reproduce, giving rise to a new type of species and resulting into evolution, isn't it? Let us see. Natural selection encourages those genes or traits that assures highest degree of adaptive efficiency between population and its environment. It is very important for evolution. The genes that are able to adapt, highest degree of adaptation, they will be able to adapt in the population, survive in the population, survive in the environment. So survival of the fittest is very important, but who will survive? The fit will survive. And how it will survive? It will adapt to the environment. Let us see. To study more about this survival of fittest or natural selection, let us see the example of industrial melanism. It is one of the best examples of natural selection, how nature is selecting who will survive and who will not. In Great Britain, before industrialization, grey-white wing moths, Biston betularia, were more in numbers than the black wing moth, Biston carbonaria. Okay, let us see what it is all about. So look at this picture. We are talking about Britain. In Britain, industrialization has not yet began, and there were 2 types of moths, a grey-white wing moth which was called as Biston betularia, which was greyish-white in color. And the other moth was black-winged moth, Biston carbonaria. This was Biston carbonaria. Now Britain, no industrialization, very fresh environment, no pollution at all. And so on the lands, on the trees, lot of lichen grew, because you know that lichen will always grow where there is no pollution. And lichen was somewhat grayish, blackish color. So what happened? Before industrialization, these grey white winged moth, Biston betularia, they could camouflage themselves amongst that lichen, isn't it? So when the birds came to eat these moths, they could not see this Biston betularia, but they could easily spot the black colored Biston carbonaria. So they started eating up the Biston carbonaria, and obviously the population of Biston carbonaria decreased and the population of Biston betularia increased before industrialization, when there was no pollution, lot of lichen growing on the walls or the trees. But after industrialization, what happened? There was lot of pollution, lot of carbon was deposited everywhere. Lichen stopped growing, and in that carbon, these black Biston carbonaria, they started camouflaging. So when these nocturnal moths rested on the tree trunk and the birds came, the predatory birds, they could spot easily now the Biston betularia, because they were easily spotted among the carbon. They had these white patches. So the population of Biston carbonaria increased and betularia decreased after industrialization. So see how nature is selecting which will survive, which will not. The fittest is surviving. Initially, betularia survived because they could camouflage themselves in the lichen, amongst the lichen, whereas after industrialization, when there was soot, carbon, pollution, Biston carbonaria could survive. So survival of the fittest. Industrial melanism. Melanism, skin color, and industrial, because there was change in the color combination which was there in the environment because of the industries. So this is a very good example. 2 mark, 3 mark question can be asked on this. Let us now come to the last part of modern synthetic theory. We started with genetic variation. In genetic variation, we discuss about mutation, we discuss about recombination, we discuss about migration, gene flow. Then we also discussed about gene drift. Then we discussed about chromosomal aberration, deletion, duplication, inversion, and translocation. We also discussed about natural selection. And now we are coming to the last part of the modern synthetic theory, that is isolation. Isolation. Simple English literal meaning of isolation is separation of the population of a particular species into smaller units, which prevents interbreeding between them. Some barrier which prevents the gene flow or exchange of genes, okay, between isolated population. Simple. Suppose this is a big population, okay, but what happened? There is a big mountain in between, big mountain. So the birds which are present here, though they are similar to the birds which are present here, they are not able to interbreed because of that huge mountain. It is a very huge mountain, okay. Very huge mountain, so the birds cannot fly from A to B region, no interbreeding takes place, so they are isolated. Or we can say that there is a big population of, say, some frogs or insects, anything you can consider, and there is a big huge river. So the population of these insects cannot go here because this is a very broad river. So there is some barrier, and because of these barriers, they are not able to interbreed, and so they are isolated. So we are going to study about these isolation in detail. Did you understand the concept of isolation? It is separation of the population. Isolation is separation of the population. Of whom? Of a particular species. It can be a plant, it can be an animal, it can be an insect, bird, anybody. Into what? Into smaller units. Look here, smaller unit A, B. There can be many more. So what is happening as they are isolating into smaller units? There is no interbreeding among them. They cannot interbreed. They cannot breed and produce new generation. Some barrier which prevents gene flow or exchange of genes between isolated population. This is called as isolating mechanism. Number of isolating mechanisms are operated in nature, and therefore divergence and speciation occur. Now see what happens. This population A continue to stay here. They interbreed among themselves. they adjust in the environment, and a different type of species is generated. This population, it went away from this, they couldn't interbreed, they on their own try to adjust into the different climatic conditions or whatever conditions are there, food, availability of food or the prey predator, and they finally develop into a different, they diverge into a different species. So what will happen? They will start forming or diverting from the A species after some generation. We'll see the examples. Isolating mechanisms are of two types. One is geographical isolation and second is reproductive isolation. So two types of isolating mechanism. I gave you the examples, mountains and rivers. These are geographical isolation. There are also reproductive isolations. Let us see geographical isolation, that is physical isolation. There are some barriers and physically the organisms cannot meet each other to interbreed. It occurs when an original population is divided into two or more groups. Suppose this was the original population, but then a river started flowing here suddenly. So this was a population. Suddenly there was another barrier, that a glacier fell down from a mountain and a barrier is developed here. And so small populations now occurred. So it occurs when an original population is divided into two or more groups by geographical barriers such as a river, an ocean, mountain, or a glacier, etc. And they are not able to meet each other, to interbreed among each other, and so they are isolated or separated from one another. These barriers prevents interbreeding. As they are separated, there will be no interbreeding. They will be isolated groups. Separated groups are exposed to different type of climatic conditions, environmental conditions, availability of food. The prey and predators available in the different regions are different. So they have to adjust different ways, isn't it? The separated population develop distinct gene pool and they do not interbreed. Thus, a new species have been formed by geographical isolation. Best example of is of Darwin's finches. These are Darwin's finches. When Darwin was traveling, he went to Galapagos Island and he saw that finch, there were different types of finches. Basically, all these finch, they belonged to a similar type of bird group. But what happened? They got isolated. There was barrier among them. So they modified their body according to the food and feeding habits. Now some finch, they were getting grains to eat, so their beak size differed. Some got meat to eat, so their beak size differed. Some were feeding on fish, their beak size differed. So slowly what happened, from one ancestral seed-eating finch, different types of finches developed. Their beak changed, their color changed, their size changed, and they adapted to different environment, and so many different types of finches were seen by Darwin in the Galapagos Island, which differed from the main type of finch. Some were feeding on cactus, some were feeding on ground, whatever they could eat find on the ground, and so on. So because of geographical isolation, one finch, which was the original seed-eating finch, there was change in the feeding pattern. Some were eating on insects, some were vegetarian, grains, fishes, cactus. Their beak changes, size changes, shape changes, and a new species was formed, and they diverged from one another. Now let us see about reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation occurs due to change in genetic material, gene pool, and structure of genital organs. It prevents interbreeding between the population. Because of change in the genital organs, difference in the genital organs, because of time of maturing is different, because of genetic material is different, the two species are not able to interbreed among themselves. This type of isolation is called as reproductive isolation. Let us see the types of isolating mechanism. First is pre-mating or pre-zygotic isolating mechanism. It is not allowed to mate only. The mechanism prevents fertilization and zygote formation. There is no mating allowed. And the second type is post-mating or post-zygotic isolating mechanism. Let us first study the pre-mating or pre-zygotic isolating mechanism. Here we will see how it prevents the fertilization and zygote formation. First in pre-mating is habitat isolation, ecological isolation. Members of population living in the same geographical region but occupy separate habitats so that potential mate does not occur. Suppose there is a very big pond. There is a population of frogs in this corner and there is a population of frog in another corner. Habitat, the habitat is different. Though they are staying in the same environment, habitat is different and they are not able to meet each other. So what happens? As they are not able to meet each other, they are not mating each other. If they are not mating each other, it is reproductive isolation. Because of what? Because of separate habitat. Okay. Let us see the second type, seasonal or temporal isolation. Seasonal or temporal isolation is members of a population living in the same geographical region but are sexually maturing at different years or different times of the year. Suppose this is again another pond. Okay. There is a group of fish here and there is a group of fish here. Both are staying together in the same habitat, but though they are staying in the same geographical region, same habitat, they mature sexually at different times. This matures in, say, winter and this matures in summer. Will they be able to mate? No. So depending upon seasonal maturation, different maturation at different times of the year, they are isolated. They are not allowed to interbreed each other with each other. This is called as seasonal or temporal isolation. Third is ethological isolation. Ethological isolation, due to specific mating behavior, the members do not mate. The behavior of mating, attracting the opposite sex, is different. So they are not attracted towards each other. For example, in birds it happens. It may happen that the habitat is same. Okay, their maturing time is also same. But this bird sings in a different pattern and this does not like the singing of that bird. So they are not attracted to each other. They will not mate with each other. So this is ethological isolation because of different mating behaviors, mating pattern. So students, again I revise, we are studying reproductive isolation. In reproductive isolation, we are studying first pre-mating or pre-zygotic isolation. In that we studied about habitat isolation or ecological isolation. They are staying in different habitat. A corner, B corner. Not able to meet each other. Do not interbreed among each other with each other. Second, we saw about seasonal or temporal isolation. They are staying together, but their sexually maturing time is different. Therefore, they are not able to mate. And third, we discussed about ethological isolation, where they are staying in a same habitat. They are maturing at the same time, but their behavior is different. They are not attracted towards each other. They are ethologic. This isolation is ethological isolation. So first we have completed with the pre-mating, pre-zygotic. Fertilization does not taking place. Zygote formation does not take place in all the three cases. Let us proceed. The fourth one is mechanical isolation. They have difference in the reproductive organs. If their reproductive organs are only different, will they be able to meet? No, they are not able to meet. So if their reproductive organs are different, they are not able to meet, they are not able to mate, they are not able to interbreed, and thus it is also a pre-zygotic isolating mechanism. So 4 I have taught you in pre-mating or pre-zygotic isolating mechanism: habitat isolation, seasonal or temporal isolation, ethological isolation, mechanical isolation. Habitat isolation is also called as ecological isolation. This part can be asked for MCQ, so prepare it properly. Now we will study about post-mating or post-zygotic isolating mechanism. Gamete mortality. Gametes have a limited lifespan. Due to one or other reason, if union of two gametes does not occur in a given time, it will result into gamete mortality. In this case, the organisms are staying in the same habitat. That time of maturation is same. They are attracted towards each other, but their gametes mortality time is different. It is having a limited lifespan, and though they are mating with each other, the union of gametes, if it is not occurring in a given stipulated time, it results in gamete mortality. Zygote mortality. Here the egg is fertilized. Okay, so they are living in the same area, they are maturing at the same time, gametes are formed at the same time, they come together, interbreed, but egg is fertilized, but the zygote which is formed after fertilization, it dies because of one or the other reason. So this is zygote mortality. And the third is hybrid sterility. Hybrids develop to maturity but become sterile due to failure of proper gametogenesis. So very good example is a mate between a donkey and a horse. Okay, they are able to stay in the same habitat, they sexually mature at the same time, they mate with each other, they form a offspring, a mule is developed, but this mule is a sterile individual. It cannot reproduce further. So post-mating or post-zygotic isolating mechanism consists of gamete mortality. Gametes die before mating. Zygote mortality, mating takes place. Male gametes unite with the female gamete to form a zygote, but this zygote will die. Third is hybrid sterility. Here there is mating, zygote is formed, offspring is developed, offspring develops to a form, adult individual, but that offspring is sterile. So we have completed here modern synthetic theory of evolution, where we started with genetic variation. In genetic variation, we discussed about mutation, we discussed about how gene pool, what is gene pool, what is gene frequency, how gene pool and gene frequency is affected by mutation, how it is affected by migration, recombinations, genetic drift. All these we studied, recombinations and chromosomal aberrations. Then we spoke about natural selection, how nature plays a very important role in selecting. And third, we discussed about isolation. In isolation, I taught you about geographical isolation, and we studied about reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation, two types, pre-mating and post-mating. Now let us start with Human Evolution 5.13. I'll just give you an introduction today, and in the next lecture we'll continue. So it has been traced that human evolution appeared to have evolved from a tree-dwelling, shrew-like animal. So it is believed our ancestors were dwelling on trees and we were shrew-like animals. This process began in the Paleocene epoch. Very important, listen and remember. So this process of human evolution, it began in the Paleocene epoch. During this period, dwindling of forests were cut down. So arboreal mammals, they had to come on the land, start living life on the land, and which led to human evolution. We'll continue later. In the following chart, it can be seen that we are most closely related to gibbons, chimpanzees and gorillas. So human being is believed to be related to gibbons, chimpanzees and gorillas. Major evolutionary trends in transition from ape to man considered further. Special characteristics have been acquired by the man in the course of evolution. Increase in the size of the complexity of the brain, enhance intelligence, increase in the cranial capacity, brain capacity increase. We started walking on two legs, bipedal locomotion. We had opposable thumb, so we could hold objects properly. We had erect posture, we could stand erect. Shortening of forelimbs and lengthening of hind limbs occurred. Development of chin took place. Broadening of the pelvic girdle occurred. Development of lumbar curvature, social and cultural development occurred, speech, art, tools, etc. So there are many other points related to human evolution. We will discuss them again in our next lecture. So students, we have completed with modern synthetic theory of evolution. We studied many important concepts. Out of three concepts are genetic variation, second was natural selection, and third was isolation. You should remember these 3 points and then you should elaborate the remaining points below it. Then we started with human evolution and we saw that how human being has been evolved from a shrew-like animal which was living on trees, and how from arboreal life then it came on land. We have just begun. In next lecture, I will teach you in detail about the process of human evolution. Thank you.